Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pastor Bruce. Welcome to amvoice.net and One Man's Voice. Today, I want to just talk to you a little bit about the shadow government that's going on in this country. You see, the social democrats, the leaders of this country, who think they're leaders, who lost in the last election big time, still want to control what's going on in this country. Prime example is how the Democrats in Congress refuse to go along with anything that Trump wants. They refuse to build the wall. They refuse to vote for the tax cuts. They refuse to vote for DACA. They refuse. They want to be in control. They are the ones that want to make the decisions. They are what are known as slave masters. You do what we want you to do, or we're not going to do anything for you. Isn't that what's happening? Now, if you go in and you look at the statistics in this country, you'll see that for the last 6 months, 7 months, the unemployment rate was at 4.1%, lowest it's been till last month. Last month it was a 3.9% unemployment rate. That is 20 years old. 20 years ago, it was at that rate. 20 years. Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, no one could get that low. Only in the Reagan administration. So here we have a problem, ladies and gentlemen. We have a president who's doing exactly what he wants to do, and he is open and honest about it. And that's called transparency. He does what he says he's going to do. He gives you what he says he's going to give you. But we have a shadow government. We have the Democrats. We have Hillary Clinton going out there speaking about things along the way, signaling her shadow government as to what they're supposed to do. Because she thinks that she's the president of the United States. So does Congress, the Democrats in Congress. This is socialism, people. Now, I'm really upset with the Republicans and with Donald Trump. Because, you see, we know that in the investigation into the collusion between the Russians and the Republicans, there is no collusion. But we have identified not only collusion between the Democrats and the Russians, but we've also identified acts of treason, acts of sabotage, acts that demand that there be some sort of action. But President Trump, being an honorable man, and you've never heard people say that, he doesn't want to come in office and attack and arrest the people who voted against him, or at least ran against him, because it'll look like he's trying to get vengeance. That's not the case, people. He's not going to arrest them, throw them in jail, and forget about them. Let them be arrested. Let them go to court. Let them defend their actions of spying on the American people, of improperly destroying classified information, and lying to the FBI. And for James Comey, he's a liar. He needs to be prosecuted under his own laws under the FBI. He lied to the American people. He falsified statements in the American people, and he should go to jail. His second in command should go to jail. There are people at the top, ladies and gentlemen, we need to sit there and say, enough is enough. There is no shadow government. You will not run the government because you think you can. You will not dictate to the people. And who is the shadow government the Democrats dictating to? Who's in the riots? Mainly black people. Why? Because here we go with Conway West again. He says that slavery is a choice. And I'll say it again, like I said it before. In 1865, we ended slavery. 1865, we ended slavery. From 1865 on to today, it is a choice to collect welfare, food stamps, and live in government-controlled housing. Look at the slaves back before 1865. They were given a roof over their head, HUD housing. They were given food in their belly, food stamps. And instead of going out and working, they're given welfare to allow them to buy things. And when the Democrats want you, you're out there protesting in the streets. But they can't work. It can't work unless they have support from the black community. So who are the Uncle Toms? Jesse Jackson and Albert Sharpton. When a situation occurs in America, the Democrats holler, Jesse, Albert, holler racism, holler racism. And that's exactly what they do. The media lies for the Democratic Party. We saw that in Peterson when they reported how that kid walked away with his hands up and the guy shot him in the back, which was total lies, total fabrication. The fact of the matter, he was shot trying to take the policeman's gun away from him. That's right. But did anybody stop to ask the question, what was that fool doing sticking his head into a police car trying to take the policeman's weapon away from him? Now, any smart individual out there, and I don't care what color skin you have, knows you're in serious trouble. You're going to get shot. Plain and simple. What gave him the thought that he could do this and nothing was going to happen to him? Maybe it's the false lies that the Democrats teach you, that you can do whatever you want to do and get away with it. And there's Albert Sharpton. As soon as that happened, Democrats called on him. Albert, go holler racism. Go holler racism. White cop, black kid. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. See, he's your Uncle Tom. He's doing the bidding. And what about the Black Caucus? Did you see during the president's speech of the State of the Union when he talked about how black unemployment was down lower than it's been for 17, 18 years, 19 years? And there was a round of applause in the room, and they showed the Black Caucus sitting there doing absolutely nothing. Why did they not like the idea that black unemployment was down? You know why? Because if black people are working, they're not going to do the bidding of the Democratic Party. They're too busy making a living, taking care of their families, achieving something in their life. And the Black Caucus didn't like that. And you don't hear about Jesse Jackson or Albert Sharpton until something happens. You didn't hear about them for the 7-8 years of the Obama administration. They sat quiet till Peterson. They had to build a race. They had to keep us apart. Now, I said it before. I'll say it again. There's a difference between being a slave and there's a difference between being discriminatory. They're not the same thing. Yes, there are black people who discriminate against white people. There are white people who discriminate against black people. There are whites and blacks who discriminate against Latinos, and vice versa. And why? Because we haven't learned to get along. Why? Because the black shadow government in this country, the Democrats, want to keep us separate. They don't want us to unite as one. They don't want us to live in peace and in harmony. They don't want us to be employed and hard-working adults. They want to control us as slaves. And I'm not just talking about the black people in this country. I'm talking about the whole nation. They want to dictate and control to us. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The UN agenda for 2030 is to have a one-world government under socialism. And the Democrats are social democrats. Their mission is socialism in this country. Yet it was the Democratic Republic that rose not only this nation up to be the greatest nation, but rose the world up to be better than what it was. We stood tall upon the mountain with the light. We shine the light down and say, stop doing what you're doing and live in peace and harmony. If you don't, we'll get a coalition, we'll come in and we'll take care of it. Peace is what we need. Harmony and unity is what we need. But we can't when you have shadow governments like the Democratic Party trying to control everything. And there's a new article out about that as well. If you go to Fox, you won't hear it on the mainstream media. But John Kerry was slammed for reportedly using shadow diplomacy to save the Iran deal from doom. It's not his responsibility anymore. And he's not going to change the mind of the President of the United States or of the American Congress. But he will, the Democrats, stay talking. Keep going. Don't agree. Fight against whatever President Trump wants. Fight against the Democrats. We don't need to be giving them any money. We need to sit there and say, you give us money back. You give us what we gave you. Give it back to us. Okay? And if you're not going to do it, there's no deal. There's nothing that's going to happen. But they can't do that. You know why? Because they gave it away to terrorist groups. That's why. Kerry and the Democratic Party are using the hatred of the Islam against America to try to defeat the American way of life. They think that getting in bed with the Muslims and denouncing our democracy, denouncing what we're doing, is a good thing. And they'll work with the Muslim nations to destroy us. Why? Because the black population in this country is coming around. They're understanding how the Democrats are keeping them as slaves. And we saw that in the last push in the election. What did Hillary Clinton do? There's like 3 or 4 states she never went to and asked to get your votes. So what did she do in the last moments of running out there and trying to talk to people? She went to Florida for the Latino vote, talking about how we're not going to have borders, how we're going to allow everybody to come in and do whatever they want to do in America, how our rule of law does not apply to Latinos, but only to the American people. 1,200 people came marching towards this border, and they were told they're not getting in. And out of that, maybe 200 arrived. Now, understand this. People are arrested in Mexico for illegally entering that country. Illegally entering the country. They're arrested, and they are deported back to wherever they came from. But when they say we're going to America, they're allowed to illegally enter the country and proceed to the American border. That's sad, because they're in cahoots with the Democratic Party. They want to tear down our wall. They don't want us to have borders. They want to be open to us. If you look and listen and try to understand the billions of dollars that illegals are taking out of this country and sending back to Mexico, Guadalajara, and the other southern nations where they come from, you understand that they're destroying this country. Not because they're here, not because they're working, but because they are taxing our system, social system. Medical is one of the big ones. And part of everything that they take, they're sending back home, not spending it here in our country where they earned it. That's called redistribution of wealth, and it makes other nations rich while we suffer. If they're not sitting here putting money back into the country and they're asking for more money, what happens? Prices have to go up to pay them. Pay illegals to work here. We have a workforce. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe in DACA. I believe the kids who had no clue of what was going on should be allowed to stay. But I don't believe that we should be paying for everything the illegals want in this country. We shouldn't be giving them Medicaid. We shouldn't be giving them Medicaid, or food stamps, or welfare. They're illegal. They don't deserve it. They didn't work hard to get here. They came here illegally. So they're not part of our social program. And if they don't like it, let them leave. That's the option that they have. Or suffer with nothing in this country because they haven't earned the right to have it. That's what the shadow government is doing, people. They're trying to destroy America. They're trying to create socialism in this country. Now, I don't know how many listen to the show. To be honest with you, I don't care. It's one man's voice speaking out against the corruption that is going on in our government and the destruction of the greatest nation in the world. Emotionally, scientifically, militarily, we are the greatest nation, and monetarily as well. We're the greatest nation out there. We can make a difference in this world. But when you destroy us, when you bring us down to nothing more than being a socialist country where there's only a two-class system. And here, again, who's fighting for this? California. California openly admits to being socialists. And who do we have in Congress running the Democratic Party? The socialist leader, Nancy Pelosi. And the other side of the House, we have crybaby Chuck Schumer from another socialist-led state, New York, where they're raising prices to the point where the middle class are leaving. They're not staying there anymore. And in a recent news article, an individual was talking about separating California from the rest of the country. He was asked, well, aren't you afraid about losing the middle class? And he says, no, we'll just replace the middle class. But do you understand that under socialism, there is no middle class? There's only two, the rich and the poor. The rich will live like kings while the poor live like nothing more than peasants. And again, I have to say this. The morons in Fox News, especially in Fox News, who sit there and constantly talk about the $1,000 bonus and equate it to a tax break. It's not a tax break, it's a bonus. It's money in the pockets. The tax breaks are coming, people. They've already lowered the tax rates. They're coming. Some people have already seen less taxes being taken out of their paychecks. Do you understand the difference between the two? And yet Nancy Pelosi calls it crumbs. I don't know, give me $1,000. I'll go out and do some good things with it. Crumbs? No. But to a millionaire like Nancy Pelosi, $1,000 is crumbs. That's the shadow government. That's the socialist sitting there who's a multi-millionaire saying, I support you, Wall Street sit-in, against the one percenters. She's a one percenter. The socialist government of California wants to do away with the middle class system. They are raising taxes to the point where the people can't suffer to survive anymore. And what's happening? They're leaving. And more illegals are coming in and they're taking over. And the cost of the housing out there is absolutely ridiculous. You want to live in California, you got to pay the price. Well, that's why people are leaving. They don't want to live there anymore. And I hope it's smart, intelligent conservatives, Republicans that are leaving that state and coming, because once California, and I've said it before, leaves the union and we go to 49 states, ladies and gentlemen, once that happens, they lose all that electoral college votes. And they lose, I think it was, what did she win by in the popular vote? 3 million? 4 million? And that's what they're going to lose out in the state of California. But the conservatives that are coming here will vote for the conservatives, and Republicans will stay in power. So yes, let California leave the union. I don't care. And let's see how good they are when we pull our 6 or 7 military bases out of there and leave those communities without income. And see how much they can survive when we pull in ICE and the FTA and not give them and pull government contracts away from the California people. Let's see how well this socialist nation that's supposed to be like the 17th most richest nation and equal to the 17th most richest nation in the world can survive. They don't have that unless they have the American government backing them. They're crying, "Oh, you can't deny us sanctuary cities money. You have to give us the grants." Okay, but if you're not part of the American people anymore, no, we don't. No, we don't. So this is what the shadow government is doing, people. They're trying to create problems for the simple fact that they want to destroy this country. John Kerry's part of it. The Clintons are part of it. James Comey, Andrew McCabe are part of it. The Florida representative, Maxine Waters, another socialist in California, another multimillionaire who's sitting there living in a $4.4 million home, while the people that she represents in another district have nothing. Socialist government, people. That's what they want. They want to remain rich while keeping us poor. This is Pastor Bruce. I want to thank you for listening. And if you do want to make comments, there is my email address there. You just click on that and send me an email, and I'll respond to it. God bless, take care, and we will talk soon.